I'm Candy Evans, and this is Dallas Dirt. Today, office conversions, a huge topic that I'm fascinated with, and I have three fabulous guests to talk about it, and they're all experts in this. I've got to my right Kevin Wallace. Then I've got the wonderful Dallas Cothrum, who you've seen on our show before and we'll probably be seeing more of. And at the end, we have Tom Metcalfe, and we're all going to talk about this. I'm going to let you guys describe your specialties, because you're all in commercial real estate, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you're all three in commercial real estate. And we actually were chatting so much before we got going with Tom about a very big office conversion going on right now in downtown Dallas. But first, can someone, Dallas, maybe explain what an office conversion is?
Well, there are a lot of these buildings that are, fully depreciated and appreciated at this point. That, think about like maybe Airport Freeway or Stemmons or older buildings. Maybe they're 2 or 3 stories. They're all surface parked. And you go in and you just feel they're soulless. Those aren't going to convert except maybe by wrecking ball.
These are commercial real estate
That's
buildings
right. They're office
that
buildings.
we're trying to turn into something else, correct?
That's right. And,
okay.
and the three of us have known each other. And, in any real estate transaction, you've got to have a lot of experts. The three of us started thinking, let's maybe team up, because this office conversion thing requires architecture expertise. It requires brokerage that knows retailers, storage guys. Not just one thing, because some of these sites are too big to just be multifamily. And so we just decided we'd be better doing this as a team than as one-offs.
Tom, we were talking about what's going on in downtown Dallas right now that's in the planning stages. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's very exciting.
Well, 1 million square feet of the Bank America Tower, which has had Bank America, but it's not going to have Bank America anymore. They're moving to a new building. And then City Place, supposed to have a second tower. Remember that?
Yes.
That, granted, sitting out in Seagoville in a field somewhere right now.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
it's in Seagoville. So we're going to see this over and over and over again, but we thought it was only these 3-story, 200,000, 300,000 square foot buildings sitting on 10 to 13 acres. But no, here we've got all types of buildings, and it's because people have changed the way they're going to work.
Right. And a lot of it started during COVID, correct?
I think that exacerbated it. It was 10 years coming.
Okay.
If we'd have done it 10 years ago, no pain now,
Yeah.
but we didn't, because
Yeah.
we were making money.
Yeah.
These are triple net lease buildings, a lot of them.
Right.
They're-
Triple
they're-
net lease
means
meaning
no tax, no insurance, no common area maintenance for the owner.
The owner,
That's all
yeah.
being paid
Solid
by the
gold.
tenant,
Yeah.
and the tenant's paying a gross, a net rent, just a check to the landlord. Who looks? They're
Right.
getting a check.
and everything's working, everything's copacetic.
You just don't think about it.
You don't think about it. But,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about commercial real estate here. Commercial is hurting. There's a lot of empty buildings out there. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong about office buildings.
Office.
And you're not wrong about these types of office buildings we're focusing on, which are 3 to 4 story, surface park, no big parking garages, and roughly 200,000 to 300,000 square foot buildings. Those are almost 300 identified in DFW, which are 90 to 100% vacant. Now,
300 buildings?
yes, but not paying. Okay, somebody's still paying on some of this vacant space.
Right. Because they've had leases or something.
Because they
Yeah.
have leases
Right.
and they're still paying, so it's not as desolate as it sounds, but it's going
Yeah, as
to
soon
the
as
run,
that
hitting
lease
the next
runs
rung of
out.
the ladder. Yeah,
Right.
it's about to hit that next one, because 56% of people have gone back to their office seats as employees.
And if you look at this, we've all talked about, we learned a lot of lessons because we all had businesses during the Great Recession. And, there was just too much retail. So you saw some cities pare down their retail, and now there's new retail, whether they're kids tutoring or sports or all the
Services.
the services or the house stuff, the home builder or the faucet place. You've got
Right.
all these new people that want retail space, and so retail now 96%. And I can remember, in 2008 and 2009, the retail was at the worst point. Now it's at its best point. Well, it's because they've taken a lot of inventory off the market. They're not overbuilding it, and we got to take those lessons that we learned from the Great Recession and apply them to office. And so some of it is paring down, literally getting rid of these older office
Right.
buildings.
Right.
And not that many convert, do they, Kevin?
About 10 to 15% is what we're looking at easily convert. Now, scraping and going vertical again is a different animal. So 10 to 15% is our number right now that we're looking at.
Kevin's an architect. I'm fascinated by this. How would you take an office space? You've got bathrooms, you've got plumbing, but you've got offices, you've got like really kind of flimsy wall. How do you turn that into residential?
It's pretty much an open grid. So you have a structure and beam system of construction. So even though you see all these walls around you when you're in the office, none of those are load bearing, so they're easy to take down. And so you just end up with an open shell space. And then as long as you have the right distance between the windows and your interior corridor, which is about 30 feet on average, then you can fit in a pretty good variety of suites for our apartment units.
Apartment
It
units.
also works for retail to a significant degree as well, and especially on the first floor, because again,
Yeah.
retail wants light, windows, and they want to be able to, if you're a retailer, you want to be able to see in from the street to attract your shoppers. And then hotels actually work pretty well too as far as a
Right.
mixed use
So
opportunity.
let's talk about one of the best examples, I think, in Dallas that most people know about, the National, which is a huge hotel and a beautiful restaurant facility and ballrooms and everything. And it was the original National Bank, First National Bank of
First
Dallas,
National
correct? And tell me about it. It sat empty for a long time.
It sat empty for 30, 40 years. I mean, there are buildings that
Wow.
we've had mothballed in downtown for so long that we could have used, but we were stubborn and they didn't fit the normal office plate anymore. So now we want 25,000 square feet on a floor. No, we want 30,000 square. Well, you leave these old buildings right out. They're totally cannot even come close to the new modern ways that people want to office. And now nobody's officing there, so it's worse.
And
It's terrible.
the parking on that building was bad. It was a valet system,
horrible.
and it just was.
Horrible.
It didn't work for office anymore. And so and it's a whole city block. It's a gigantic building.
It's a big building.
And that's a great solution,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it required a massive investment from the city.
Yeah.
That's the problem with these really large buildings in a really urban footprint. The city's going to have to participate. In some
Right.
of the suburban markets, maybe that participation's a lot less. But they're not a giant city like Fort Worth or Dallas. So
Right. And the
you've got
developer.
several buildings downtown, 1700 Pacific, the Bank of America building. You've got these entire buildings that stand a chance in the next decade to be empty or nearly empty, and they're going to require a lot of complicated solutions of it's got to have a hotel component, it's got to have a multifamily
Parking.
component, some office, you got to park it.
Yep.
Those buildings are so large and were so expensive to build. That's why you're not seeing those kind of buildings built anymore.
Exactly. But does this make developers angry, new developers coming in, or does it kind of like push them to the side, like,
It's a candy store. Right now, we're a candy store.
We're a
You can
candy
go
store.
in and get this flavor, you can get that flavor, you can get whatever you want. You want a suburban, 3-story, 12 acres? My goodness, what do we do on 12 acres? That's a perfect site for 350 Class A apartment units. Surface park, very reasonable costs today for steel and concrete, still being very expensive. So they're so happy when they get here because they have so many varieties of what they can do. And now scrape and rebuild for these.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll actually see some office building owners try to solve their own problems instead of waiting for a multifamily company to come in and solve it. I mean, if I were an owner of an office building and I've got, I'm 50% leased is all, and I've got 2 big tenants that roll off in the next year, I would be deciding that office is not what I want to be.
Right.
And I got to get out of that and into something productive. And while there's a lot of multifamily on the market, maybe some people think there's too much. There's lots of people moving here. And I think that in all these, particularly in the suburban market, the first movers are going to have the most success. And we saw that after the Great Recession. The clients of mine, Zom, Wood Partners, they poked their head out first and did projects, and they leased up quickly and sold those things.
They did.
So I think you may see some of this too. People that get out on this first
Right.
will be the winners on this. And then it'll become a trend.
and then everyone will be in it.
And
that's
everyone
right,
will hop
right.
into it. You'll be very
Right.
busy, right? Yeah.
They would-
We're hoping.
So it's interesting. So you can take, Kevin, you can take these buildings and you can configure them? What are the costs?
We priced one out at a test case, and I think we're right around $200 a square foot to do that.
200.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's
comparable to building.
like you look at a wrap building in
Yeah.
the suburbs.
Yeah.
So wrap is like a parking garage in the center, and you wrap the residential around it, like downtown Las Colinas, in that area over there. So you're comparable in rents to what you can do in the suburbs by converting and having surface parking right there next to the building.
This may be a wonderful solution for, as you said, Dallas, for the dearth of housing that we have in Dallas, because
Yeah.
there just isn't enough.
Well, last reports, we still have like a 3-year backlog of need.
Yes.
And the starts went way down, going way down the first quarter and second quarter this year from like 20,000.
Well, that's
to
because of the capital
6,000.
markets, though.
Not
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we don't need them,
Not
Right.
exactly, right.
just because somebody doesn't want to pay 9%
9%
for
interest
your
rate.
construction loan,
Right,
and
right.
16% for your preferred equity,
Right.
and 20% for your last quarter. So
Right.
they don't have to. They've been building. They're making money. They know this is going to resume very steadily this year as we go towards better rates and better costs, because China is not going to compete with us on steel and concrete.
And you're going to see cities that can productively put these sites back into play, whether it's conversion
Right.
or new build. These are not going to be, some may be affordable, but a lot of these are going to be market rate units with people that are making, $70,000 or more dollars. Probably if it's a couple, you're going to have, $125,000 or more, $2 rents. These are people, about 20% of people's income is somewhat disposable.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to buy meals, they're going to donate to the church, they're going to be involved in the community. All these communities are fighting for how much of that 20%. I mean,
Right.
you look at
Yeah.
Las Colinas, great example. You can live there, and Irving stands to win a lot of the people that lives there's money. They eat lunch there, they go out at night and have drinks. More communities need to look at, like, maybe I'm a mid-cities community, and these old office buildings are replaced by people that are successful professionals that want to eat there and
Will
want
spend
to
their money
spend their
there.
money
Right.
there.
Exactly.
And if you catch them early, they may buy a home there. And as you know, we've talked about in the past, you want these homes that have empty nesters. Some of them are moving to apartments.
Right,
That
right.
opens those homes up for a remodel
ones
and to
coming
get
in.
young
Yeah.
families in. So this really can benefit. Some of these higher end conversions are perfect for your empty nester.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about some of them. Have you been in some of these conversions? Can you tell us what they're like?
I can't say I've been in them. We've been studying them for
Been
the last
studying.
couple of years, but you have a mix of units. Most of the units are actually converted to, like I said, they compare to what you're looking for in the suburbs, like Salina or Sherman or Allen. That type of
Is it
unit
an
finish is the
apartment
same.
and the finish and?
Yeah, I mean, it's 9-foot ceilings, it's like,
ceiling.
painted walls, it's a
yeah.
great kitchen, it's an open living space.
Which is
but-
what everyone wants, right?
That's it.
Yeah, I
Open
mean, you have the
living.
opportunity to go to a loft
Yeah.
where you have it completely open to the deck above, it's 12-foot ceilings, you have the opportunity to do that, but you don't need to if you don't want to. So you can actually mix the styles of your unit finishes depending on what your market study is telling you what it's going to be renting from that location.
That location.
Right,
And
and
make
typically
it
we're looking at
specific.
Gen Zs and millennials, so up to about 38 years in age are your typical renters for this type of market. And it's not the high-end markets, these aren't the urban finishes, this is still not the downtown CBDs.
Okay.
This is the finishes for the suburban market.
The suburb. The
But
suburban.
you get a better lifestyle because you're already in a completed community that's got a city government that's proactive. You've got the retails, you've got the personal services, you've got entertainment, that at least within a 15-minute car ride, as opposed to
Right.
driving, up to Frisco or over to McKinney.
Right.
So you've got that opportunity to build up that density that you need in order to drive that identity and that culture in that location that we already have.
Like an
Space.
ecosystem. Like
Yeah.
an
And,
ecosystem.
we're-
in each one.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're seeing that these buildings, they do convert for the right size. I mean, Dallas is, all the studies are saying they don't want micro units. These young people
Right.
don't want the 200 or 300 square foot unit. Maybe Boston or Montreal or Toronto, New York, something like that might
LA,
work
San
there. But
Francisco.
here, they want 500 to 800. That's a smaller unit,
Right.
Right.
and that's what fits this market. So I don't think you're going to see here a lot of these micro units. And if you do, I think it's more for short-term rental or those kind of things. And, as after the big fight, not everybody likes those. But,
Kind of like hotel almost.
Like Tom and Kevin said, I mean, these are not, they're competing. They got to be competing with the McKinney or Richardson and
Right.
all these other places.
Because otherwise, they're going to go there. They can drive, as you said.
Right.
They still drive.
Rent-
I lived in 300 square feet when I was in New York and going to college at Columbia. So let me tell you, it was not fun.
A closet.
It was the
You were in a
closet with a
closet at Columbia.
Renters are very sophisticated now, and it
Yes.
doesn't matter if they're younger
Thanks
or
to the
older.
media.
and they know what they want. They want good finishes, and they're going to insist on it. And they have some choice. So, but location still matters. And a lot of these older buildings do have good locations. They're on a highway. They're not usually just directly adjacent to single family. I think there's some good solutions here. I mean, like you go up the tollway kind of from here at LBJ, there's a glut of office buildings that
Oh
were
my
built
gosh,
in the
yes.
80s that
Yep.
were maybe owner occupied or had 3 or 4 tenants. They don't fit today's world, and they're a problem. And while they maybe residents don't want apartments by them, I'd argue they also don't want a fully depreciated
Dead building.
building
Right.
that owners are not going to, you reach a point in a building's life where you don't want to feed a lot more money into it.
Right.
So that's why you had these buildings downtown that were mothballed for years.
And they may not be even well mothballed because a lot of times the homeless wander into them.
That's one of the biggest issues, property management, is how do you maintain these buildings? A owner from out of the country has a building here, and he was offered a tenant at today's rents with the finish out amount to put them into the space. He would not see a dollar for 4 years, all going to pay the
TI.
tenants improvements and the bank, and they would not see a dollar for 4
4 years.
years. We can make them a profit on their 25-year ownership that they've been making money on that blows their mind. And when they see that, they go, oh, we don't understand apartments. Well, all you have to understand, it's green. It's a lot more than you've got now, and it will make you happy. There you go.
We just have to make these buildings work for the tax base
Right,
and not
right.
be some kind of albatross. And the retail sector has done a great job of that. They struggled through 2008 to maybe 12 or something.
Well, retail was already hurt by the internet.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
invention of the iPhone in 2007 is like, the
kiss of
Gutenberg
death.
printing
Yeah,
press.
exactly.
I mean, it
That's it.
changed the
Changed
world.
the whole
But
world.
that industry has adapted and is thriving. Office is going to have to make the same
choice.
decision. And some of it is it has to disrupt itself by saying we're not going to be office. And if we're waiting for these buildings that are already 60% vacant to come back, it's not going to happen. I mean, what's the line somebody said the other day? I think it was one of you. They're
I think said it.
They're only one $5 million entry remodel away from occupancy. All that redoing the bathrooms and the finishes and the
No,
fitness
it was
thing.
the $8 million parking garage that I won't say the name of the company's agent. If you build this parking garage, you will get an A-class tenant. The building's been vacant 3 years. But that $8 million is still sitting there.
I mean, we talk about it's ideal for multifamily mixed use, but it's also ideal for the new office worker, because the office worker is looking for a mixed culture as well, not just a monoculture. I'm going to go to an office park, and if I want to go
Sit
get
in a
something
cubicle all
to eat, I'm
day.
going to go,
Right.
drive 20 minutes to go eat.
Yeah.
They're looking for the same list of services around their workspace. They're looking to live closer to their workspace, and so these smaller offices, there is a component to be able to put office with the the retail with the residential as well. But we do need to take much of this office space offline, which then increases the density and what we still have left online. So but office is still a component that can be put into these mixed use opportunities.
The old
Absolutely.
don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's very true with this work portion of a redo with a hotel, residential, and some retail at the bottom. We're getting so much out of a square foot of ground. That's what we need for the future, for our environment, for everything. We have to ask it to do more, and then we're being efficient. We can be energy efficient. We can do all the things we need to do, and people have a great lifestyle. So, we're disrupting, but we're really just trying to put the pieces back in a better order. That's all.
But this is all new. I mean, and again, this happened during following what the retail guys have done.
Right.
It offers a good path for
To
the office people.
adjust.
But the first thing they're going to have to do is the retail people understood in 2008 immediately that I remember the Weitzman annual meeting that year. The whole thing was how many empty boxes there was, and it was staggering.
Yes.
I mean, how many in the Metroplex there were
Oh, it's bad.
was fighting for their survival. That's really where we are on the office thing too. People just aren't quite desperate enough, but they're going to be, because it doesn't matter what rent rate you offer. Everybody's gunpowder's dry. They know they can go get a good lease anywhere, and that doesn't.
Steal.
The occupancy doesn't include what the sublease market looks like.
52 million square feet.
Yeah. So the numbers are kind of scary. So
Yeah.
the office
be real
world's
about
going to
this.
have to say, it's sort of bimodal distribution. We've got the super fancy office that in Uptown or something everybody wants to be in,
Right.
or Preston Center, Las Colinas, they'll pay high rents. That's a very small amount of the market. The rest of it, everybody's a value shopper.
Before we wrap up, which I absolutely hate to do, so we'll just have to come back again and do this, is there a place in all this for affordable housing?
We have to. We're 10,000 units short in the marketplace, and that's very low estimate. Some of these properties are owned by banks. They have the community percentage each year that they have to show they're participating, doing loans for difficult borrowers and in difficult parts of the community. Here's a great opportunity. I own an office building because I'm going to have to take it back from this owner. What am I going to do with this? Well, I think I'm going to contribute it to the affordable housing builders that are coming in and building 4% bond and 9% bond. These are each year done and competed with, and then you have these developments that are going on. So there's a whole bunch of cooperation that can take place.
And I like to define affordable here before we wrap up.
Oh,
Affordable
thank you.
is
Yep.
is firemen, it's nurses, it's
Right.
teachers.
It's
That's
really
what we're talking
workforce,
about. Yeah,
workforce.
workforce housing.
70%.
So, and again, that's why the three of us are together, because we need incentives, we need city participation
Yes.
in order
Yeah.
to help our developers, create the
Makes
housing
sense.
conditions that we need.
And we have
So-
to help homeowners understand this is not bad.
No.
Yeah, we have a little model of our ideal couple, and it's a school teacher and a firefighter.
That's it.
And if you look at their combined income, they are contributing just as much to the city in their apartment as a average home. Let's say in Irving, I think is about $360,000 or something.
Right.
I mean, their taxable income for what the owner pays and then what they spend on discretionary spending is better than the average single family home. So that's
Interesting.
part of that's going to be education, and it's maybe counterintuitive because we've just had it pounded into us that home ownership is better. It depends is the answer, and it's nuanced. And
Well, we're going to have to wrap up here. I'm so thrilled, and this was such an energizing conversation. Can we please do this again?
sure.
Yes, and we will be in touch, and we will continue on Candy's Dirt with this story, because this is a very interesting real estate story, and that's what we're all about on Candy's Dirt. But this is a wrap for our session of Dallas Dirt. More stories coming your way very shortly.